Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gig Masters, your channel for tips on how to get and keep more gigs. If you're a musician and you are thinking about getting into the live music entertainment industry, or for that matter, if you're already in the industry and you just want to go back to the fundamentals and discover other possibilities and other tips on how to get more gigs and keep them, well, guess what? You just hit the jackpot. You are in for a treat today. On this episode of Gig Masters, we're going to ditch the green screen. We're going to get out of the studio and we're going to go talk to Colby Peters, world famous drummer, producer, multimedia genius. We're going to go to an undisclosable location in South Florida, and we're going to talk to him, and we are going to find out about his upcoming projects, and we're going to ask him the two questions that we ask everybody. What is a tip that you can give someone who's thinking about becoming a live music entertainer? And what is something that you would advise against doing? So, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Let's use the magic of the internet and transport ourselves to Southwest Florida and go speak with Colby Peters. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the world-renowned percussionist and drummer, all-around musician, Colby Peters. And we are going to ask him about his projects a little bit later on in the video. But first, for the viewers of the tube, we are going to ask him the two questions that I ask everyone that we have on for an interview. Colby Peters, number one question. What is a good tip for a person who is considering becoming a live music performer? What's a good tip for them to consider getting into this? And for that matter, someone who is a seasoned professional and an accomplished musician who just isn't getting the gigs that they want to get. What's a good tip that you can give someone who is looking to get more gigs?
Know the gig, simply. But to elaborate on that, if there's a restaurant that's serving Mexican food, for example, and everybody is there for Mexican food, and they love Mexican food, they're just really, that's what they couldn't wait the entire week to get to that place for this Mexican food, and then you show up with this pizza, and you're like, guys, I got this pizza's amazing, 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 and that's just not really what they're there for. They're there for Mexican food. And that is what I would say is know the context, because it could have been the greatest pizza in the world. It's just not the place to present the pizza. So that's pretty much what I just know the context of the gig and act accordingly.
Yeah, I get it. I get that analogy. That's a good analogy. Make sure that your material and your act and everything you're doing for this gig has relevance to the gig and the venue. That makes great sense. Now, Colby, question number two. What would be a tip, or what would be some advice you would give someone to not do on the gig? What would be something that you would advise against so you don't get fired off a gig or not get the gig altogether? What's something that you could share with the viewers?
Be easy to work with. Like, simply, be easy to work with, and just be nice. Like, be nice, don't be a jerk to the people around you. Like, if people don't want to be around you, then you're going to be, when they're thinking of, all right, I got to call this guitar player for the gig, or whatever it is, I need to get this position filled, and if there's 10 people, and you're that person that it's like, oh, man, well, when he comes around, he kind of drains the mood. It's kind of negative, and it's just, you're going to be the last person on the list. So I would say, just treat people respectfully and be nice and, be easy to work with. And I think that'll take you there.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, do the things that you got to do them in a way that is easy going. I don't know how to say it other than that. Just like he said it, just be easy to work with. Don't be adversarial. Don't bring an attitude or an ego. Check that at the door. Be humble, and if someone says within reason, if they give you instructions, do it. Try to accommodate the manager or owner of the venue. Be easy to work with. He nails it. All right, now we got that out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask Colby. I'm going to give him the mic, and he is going to tell us about some of his current projects.
So, current projects, I would say there's multiple projects. One of them is called Elliot and the Evening Noose, and that is an orchestral folk pop project that I've worked on in recent times. And I think there will be links to all of these things in the About section, below. So you can kind of hear all of these different projects. But it's an orchestral folk pop project. I've heard people call it if Frank Sinatra and Frank Turner had a musical child. That's sort of what this project would sort of sound like. So it's got I'd say it's got humor to it. It's got it's cynical. It's kind of happy sounding and sort of darker content, more serious content. So it's that sort of a blend. Another project is called Cloudless, which is, I would define it as spiritual pop. So it's kind of like an indie pop sort of project that generally has like the angelic sort of vibe to it. And that's one that is happening. That's one that I sing in. So I write a lot of the songs for that and sing. And for Elliot in the Evening News, I'm playing drums and working on like the musical arrangements. Along with one of the other guys, Christian Logalio. And the third project for you guys to check out is called Gallia Social, which the debut album for that project is going to be surfacing up in the not too distant future, called The Rise of King Gallia. And I'm trying to think, people have described, I would say it's like an ambient fusion sort of some people use the word progressive. Kind of like a progressive-ish sort of rock band kind of thing. But, and there's many other projects that are in development that are going to be surfacing up into the world, hopefully sooner than later. But I would start you all with those three. And if you're into that, just keep following along for the journey.
Well, thanks, Colby. I'm really excited about those projects, and of course I'm a big fan of Gallia Social. I always have been. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put a link in the description below. Click on that one for sure, because the musicianship is going to blow you away. I don't know how these guys are not touring the globe, but when you click on that link below, you'll scratch your head and wonder the same thing. Colby, you've always been one of my favorite musicians. Colby has moved on to the world stage. He's no longer just working in my local market. He's an example of what you can do if you want to broaden outside of your local market. He's been all over the world. He's played thousands of gigs, so he's definitely a bona fide gig master. He's the real deal, and I can say before we close out that one of the highlights of my life was being able to play with Colby for a brief time in my music career. Colby's a world-class drummer, and he forgot to mention that he's also, in the past, he was also a drum instructor, and I'm sure he's planted the seed of music in a lot of aspiring artists and musicians, and we'll never know the extent of how far that goes, but I do know there's a lot of students of his that are grateful for the time they spent with him, and I can say that I'm certainly grateful for the times that he was able to help me out on my gigs as a drummer, and I reflect on times playing back with Colby as some of the more fun and artistically expressive times of my career. And Colby, thank you for coming on the channel today. Appreciate it. We're going to leave links, and if I forget to put a link or something down in the comments, you comment on it and leave a link to a project. And ladies and gentlemen, hit that subscribe button, click the little bell, return often, and check out the previous videos. You are watching Gig Masters, your channel for getting and keeping more gigs. Now, let's go get those gigs.